98% of the population did not grow up in healthy households. For most of us, we remember our childhood as one that is riddled with discord, that is riddled with pain, that was full of fear, that was full of fear not just for our own lives, but for the lives of those around us, including our parents. How many of you grew up in a household where you saw your parents fighting, or where you were the subject of physical or verbal abuse, or you were the subject of just abuse, period? Many of us grew up in these households where, as children, we didn't have any measure of control. We have to take what we got, and we dealt with it often not in the best way. Some of us rebelled, some of us fought, some of us we retreated, we went inward, and we dealt with the pain in silence. Many of us had to keep secrets from people around us. Many of us became afraid of people around us because if you cannot trust the people who were supposed to nurture and love you, how can you trust those people that you do not know? So for many of us, we retreated. We retreated into our minds, we retreated into our emotions, and we kept the pain for many years. Some of us still have that pain. Some of us still carry the pain of our childhood. For me, one of the reasons I wanted to become a psychologist was because that pain, I wanted to examine that pain. I wanted to let it out. I wanted to deal with it in an adequate format. It doesn't mean that it lessened the pain at all. All it meant is that it allowed me to see why I was hurting and why the people that I loved hurt me, or the people that were supposed to love me hurt me. Everybody's not going to go down the road of psychology in order to deal with their childhood experiences. So that's not a realistic format. But one of the things that is real is the brokenness in this world. Many people in this world are broken, and they're always wondering why such brokenness. You're broken because you never tried to find healing. You never wanted to address the wounds of your childhood, the wounds of your teenage life, or the wounds of your young adult life. Most adults walk around this world nursing wounds that they are unafraid to attend to, or they ignore those wounds and pretend that they do not exist. And then you find people going into relationships that are broken and trying to exist in the relationship as though the brokenness itself does not exist. That's why there's so much brokenness. There's brokenness because nobody wants to address their brokenness, or some people are unaware that they're broken. And of course, there are people out there who said, what does it matter what you experienced as a child? You should get over that. Have you heard that? I've heard that in my profession. I've heard that in my own life. There are people who truly believe that you can escape your childhood trauma or your childhood pain and just ignore it or just move past it and just go beyond it. But the mind does not operate the same way that people operate. The mind is a very intricate thing. If something in you was broken and you did not deal with it, at some point that something will resurface in your relationships, and it will resurface when you least expect it. So it makes sense to deal with your brokenness. Why are you afraid to deal with your brokenness? Because you don't want to be angry at the people who added to your brokenness? Because you don't want to be angry at those who deserve your anger, but you rather be angry at yourself? I found that a lot of people that are being broken, that they hold on to that brokenness because that brokenness has become fuel. It's like putting gas in your car. The brokenness that you experience as a child or a teenager or whenever is something that fuels you. That anger or that feeling of, you know what, I have to show them, I'm going to get the best of them. Revenge is the best medicine, and to show them that I'm successful. Your brokenness is fueling your success. That's not a bad thing, is it? But what becomes bad is because your brokenness and the success you attain is not enough to result in your healing. You have to make a conscious decision at some point to heal. Because if you refuse to heal from the brokenness that you experience, a lot of us do not realize that these are traumatic experiences. In some cultures, they do not refer to it as traumatic experiences. They think it is normal. And in some cultural contexts, it is normal because the behavior is accepted. But when the behavior results in fracturing you as a human being, you as an individual, at some point you have to go back to the source of the fracture, to the traumatic event, and deal with that in order to address where you are currently. There's a constant discord between where you used to be and where you are. And until you bring the two and balance those two, it is impossible for you to truly exist as a whole entity. The duality of pain and the duality of what you believe you are exist. But the only way to heal is to bring those two dualities together and make it one, where you balance the pain and you deal with the pain and you recognize that who you are and the acting out or the psychological issues that you're facing. And a lot of those things are unconscious. A lot of your thoughts about your childhood are unconscious. Nobody purposely sits down there and thinks about the abuse that they endured. Nobody walks through life with a smile thinking, you know what, I was kicked. I was treated badly. Somebody did treat me in a way that I knew that it wasn't right then, and I still feel a way about it because it makes me feel less than. Nobody shows up every day with these emotional thoughts or feelings, but these thoughts and feelings creep into your soul. They creep into your daily existence, and they will affect it and stop you from dealing with your life normally. What is normal? This is not the Cosbys. The Cosbys do not exist in the real world. They do in some families. I'm not saying they're not families that are just like the Cosbys. What I'm saying that the majority of families are not like the Cosby families. There's more dysfunction junction than there is function. And it's not okay, but in a way it's okay because you need to know that you're not just one person. You're part of a statistic of a cultural exposure to families and families dysfunction. It does not mean that you have to continue living your life experiencing pain from your childhood. You have the opportunity to heal. You have the opportunity to become better. You have the opportunity to remove that as a motivator for you and instead find your own motivation by learning to love yourself. My name is Ingrid Felton. As always, thank you so very much for visiting my YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like the video. Also, leave your comments below as always. And as always, thank you. I hope that you found some gold nugget here today. But if you didn't understand what I said, let me make it very clear. Healing needs to happen, and it needs to happen with you. Bye.